Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise My Asexual Life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. Subscribe and hit the bell icon right now. So, in today's episode, I want to be discussing what asexuals fear and worry about being asexual and asexuality. Let's dive in to Asexual Perspectives book. So, Robin's story. What's your deepest fear, concern, or worry about being asexual? Obviously, being sex repulsed isn't a compulsory part of being asexual, but some asexuals, such as myself, are. And so I find it hard to tell people who say sexual things that they are making me feel uncomfortable by doing that. I am worried about being thought of as strange for feeling uncomfortable about sex which is normalized in society to a point that it's expected that everyone has sex at some point in a relationship. Yeah, it's really difficult, I think, when you're a sex repulsed asexual. I'm personally sex repulsed for me these days. So I'm okay with other people who have it, want it, like it, enjoy it. It's consensual, but for me personally, I just don't want it, and I think it is very difficult when everyone thinks everyone likes sex. It's so annoying. I find it really difficult on dating sites that people just don't understand asexuality. Even when I explain I'm asexual, I lack sexual attraction, I don't like sex, I still get guys later on asking me, the same guys who I've told that to, oh, so what happens when you're in a relationship and your partner wants body pleasure? It's like, and they mean sex by that. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's just like, I'm really not interested. You can have different body pleasure, but I don't really like doing stuff with the body as such. I like kissing and cuddling. Body is intertwined with clothes on, but I don't want to be naked. Do you know what I mean? So, Cassidy's story. What's your deepest fear, concern, or worry about being asexual? That eventually my sexual, very sexual husband will leave me for a sexual partner. I don't really worry about this much though. Our relationship is super secure. And I think it's so important to understand the fears and worries and concerns you have yourself if you are in a relationship with a sexual person. I personally would be worried if I was with a sexual person. It depends how sexual they were. Like, you can get some sexuals and they're just really not that bothered about sex, and then you're thinking, actually, are they asexual? They're really not bothered about sex. But if they don't identify as asexual, they don't. And so you can get some that are not bothered about it, but then you can get some that lie and say they're not bothered, but really they are. And there's a lot of sexuals that do cheat in the end if they're not having much sex, in my personal experience. Some of my exes have cheated on me. Quite a lot of my exes have, and I'm sure that's probably due largely to a lack of sex. Not only, but largely in my case. So, yeah. C.A. Altman's story. What's your deepest fear, concern, or worry about being asexual? I mostly come to terms with it all, and I don't date, so there's no acceptance from my partner thing to get around. But there are times when I'm concerned that a sexual stranger will think I'm playing hard to get and try to harass or belittle me. So I do get people laughing at me sometimes on dating apps, which is really, really rude. But I'm back on active on ASAP, which is for asexuals, and even the guy that was just messaging me was doing a laughing face, and I'm thinking, what's so funny? Do you know what I mean? And especially when he's only just starting to talk to me. So sometimes it can be asexual guys that are laughing at me, not just sexual ones. Do you know what I mean? But I find it really off-putting when the sexuals are like laughing. It's like, what's funny? Do you know what I mean? If you're not interested in the type of person I am, why waste my time? Why start laughing at me? It's just rude and ignorant, and I don't like it at all. And I think there are people in the dating world that do put asexuals down for being asexual. And I think that's just a form of manipulation, to be quite honest, to get what they want. And I think that when someone posts laughing emojis when things that they're talking about isn't a laughing matter, I think that's quite horrible. I don't like that at all. It's like, why are you laughing when what you're talking about is something serious? I feel like they're just taking the mickey out of me. So I find it really rude and disgusting. And I'm not really open to that. I just like either don't talk to those people at all, or I cut the conversation very short quickly because there's no point. It's just taking the piss, you know? And so I do understand there are a lot of people who think that asexuals are playing hard to get, or that we are waiting for the right moment and just not jumping into sex. I have quite a lot of guys that think that about me, and it's like, no, it's like on dating apps they think that. It's like, oh, well, eventually, when you love someone, you'll have that, when you're committed relationship. It's like, no, I'm not interested. I don't know how much more I can make it plain, clear, and simple. I am not interested in having sex. I'm not interested in genitalia. If I was to look at a genitalia thing, it would be guys, because I'm only interested in guys, but I really don't need that in my life. And I definitely don't need sex. I've been happily sex free for nearly 12 years now. Thank God, I'm not interested. I'm really not. Um, when I actually tell some guys that, because some guys I decide to tell that, and then they actually understand that I can actually live without sex, and it's not because I haven't tried it before. And it's like, I've been happy without sex for 12 years nearly. You know what I mean? Since 2011, and we're in 2023 now. And it was October 2011, but I don't know the date. But yeah, it's like, what part of I don't want sex do you not understand? And sometimes when I say to them, it's been 12 years since have you ever tried sex? So I usually just say, I used to say that it doesn't matter because I don't want it now. I'm not interested. But sometimes, not all the time, I've actually said, well, yeah, back in 2011, like nearly 12 years, I've been sex free. Thank God. I'm so happy about that. And when they like, oh, you've been without sex for that long, and they're like absolutely shocked, like they could never do that. I'm like, yeah. So it does put them off sometimes, which I'm glad about, because I don't want a guy to be interested in me if he's not able to actually accept my asexuality. There was a guy on Facebook dating who was really, I got on really well with him. He seemed actually really nice to talk to, but he was messaging me for quite a long time. And I said on Facebook dating that I'm asexual. I explained what that is, lack of sexual attraction. And then he said, oh, can you friend request me on Facebook? So I did that. We became friends on Facebook. Then he's asking me on Facebook, so what happens when when you want body pleasure? When the guy wants body pleasure in a relationship? I said, I'm not interested. It's like, I've just told him this on Facebook dating app. What makes him think just because we're friends now on Facebook that all of a sudden I've changed my mind and it's different? I don't understand why these guys just don't get it. But I have actually got a video call much, much later tonight with a guy off Facebook dating, lives in my city. So I'm going to see how that goes, because he asked me for a drink, but I'm just going with a view to friendship right now. Obviously, we're on a dating app, so it's not totally friendship motivation, if you know what I mean. But I'll see how I get on with him, because he hasn't friended me and I don't know him anywhere else on social media, so I don't know hardly anything about him. But it'll be interesting to have a call with him. I do know in his profile he says he's not into flings and hookups, basically. It's not his thing, which I thought was really nice. And he looks foreign. I don't know if he is born abroad or in the UK, but he's in my city. So I'm looking forward to that. 29, so it's a little bit older than I would usually go for, but I'm just interested in talking to him as a friend, first of all. I don't, but especially because I don't think he's asexual, highly unlikely, and I'd rather go in with that mindset, because when you're doing dating, right, and you're talking, if someone's trying to rush you into a relationship or talk to you like you're already a couple, a lot of the time that's a really big warning sign for a red flag that it's never going to work. Because people who try to rush things like that, I know it happens. I get romantic, but it just never usually lasts, And they usually come and then they're gone again. You know what I mean? I don't mean that sexually. I mean come as in come to talk to you into your life and then they're out again. Anyway, Sappho's story. What is your deepest fear, concern, or worry about being asexual? As someone who's not sex repulsed, I think that my biggest concern about being openly asexual is that people won't want to date me because they'll think I'm broken, or that I won't have sex with them, or that I don't fully love them. For me, this is one of the biggest things I've had to tackle while coming to terms with my sexuality or lack thereof. So yeah, it's difficult because obviously there are people all over the asexual spectrum who are very different. Like, I'm personally sex repulsed these days, this person isn't. So there's a lot of people, guys that are heterosexual, that would love to date me, but they don't want a relationship with me. They just want sex, and if they're not getting sex, they want a kissing hookup. I get so many guys like that. Like, I got a guy on Badoo, and he's like, "Oh, he messaged me in my profile. It's like I'm asexual, right? He messaged me saying, "Oh, just randomly." I think he was 19 years old, and he was like, "Oh, what would happen if I said you could do anything to me?" Like, I'm like, "I'm not interested. I'm asexual. I'm not interested in sex." He's like, "Yeah, but what would you do? Like, what would you say? Look, you can do absolutely anything to me and use me." I'm like, "Why would you want to be used?" He goes, "Because it's fun." I'm like, "I'm really not interested. I'm not that type of person. I'm asexual. I'm not interested in sex stuff at all." So he just deleted or blocked me or whatever. Got rid. He disconnected from me. Thank God. Do you know what I mean? I just like, but I don't let people tell me what I am. Like, if some guy tries to start saying about it being like implying that I've got something wrong with me, like, oh, it's a disability or it's a dysfunction or something, I put him straight away, you know? It's like, well, I don't need to go to the doctors or see anyone about it because it's natural for some people to not want sex, you know? So it just pees me off. I mean, asexuals are definitely not broken, you know, and I think it's hard for heterosexuals sometimes to feel complete love without sex because they really don't understand the concept of love without sex. But it's very real, as we know as asexuals. So, what's your deepest fear, concern, or worry about being asexual? To Zoe. Never having a special someone in my life because she will want or need sex. And I never want to experience sex again, ever. Yeah, it's really difficult. Because I am a person who has had sex in the past and I do not want sex again. And you know, it does make finding a relationship and very, very difficult. But it's better to be single forever than it is getting with the wrong person who can't accept you for who you are and you having to do things just to please them when you don't really want to, you know? Molly's story. What's your deepest fear, concern, or worry about being asexual? I want to have committed, loving friendships. And I feel like in a society where romantic and sexual relationships are prioritized over friendship, this can be hard. I know that a lot of aromantic asexuals, those that lack romantic attraction and sexual attraction, they do wish they could have much more closer friendships, you know, that were like the level of a queer platonic relationship, really. And it is difficult when sexual relationships are prioritized over friendship. I years ago used to do that. When I thought I was heterosexual, I would say that I made a heterosexual relationship my priority, you know, and I probably shouldn't have done that. But I didn't have great friends years ago. I had one friend that I wished that I'd stay in touch with, but my ex, who was my boyfriend at that time, put an end to that because she didn't like my boyfriend with good reason at that time because he wasn't being nice to me. He saw the text from her and then he got like, "Oh, you can't be seeing her," but he was very like that, you know. He could see his friends, I couldn't see mine, so I kind of like lost pretty much every friend I actually had, which wasn't many at the time. Um, what's your deepest fear, concern, and worry about being asexual? My deepest fear, says Adair, about being asexual is that I will never find a solid lifelong partnership. In a world obsessed with sex, I'm an oddball. There aren't a lot of us out there. Yeah, most people will have to move or travel for a relationship. And if neither of the people involved or interested in doing that, then you can't really be together. It's not going to work out because you can't travel forever. You know, someone's got to move to the other person eventually. And that's what you've got to do. Realize that if you do find someone who's the love of your life, then you should go be with them, you know? But because we're all spread around the globe, it's very difficult to find that special someone and actually be with them. But people do it. Some people definitely do it. So do it if you have the opportunity. Right? Sensibly. Don't just up sticks with nowhere to actually live or go, you know, because you don't know that person online is, you know, you don't really know that person online compared to in person. So, what's your deepest fear, concern, or worry about being asexual? I asked David. None particularly. I suppose being alone is the obvious one, but I've accepted that as more of a likelihood than a fear. It's dispiriting to see friends couple up and move in together, knowing I will probably never have that. So, yeah, I think that's difficult for a lot of asexuals. You know, people pair up, they have children, they get married and they get family life, and if you're not into family life, if you're not into sex, marriage and kids, that type of thing, then you can feel really left out and lonely. I know there's people I used to know from school who I was kind of friends with, but because they got kids now and they got lives of their own, they're not really interested in the type of lifestyle I want to lead. You know, we're very different people. And so we have to go our separate ways like that, you know what I mean? So, Joe's story. What's your deepest fear, concern, or worry about being asexual? Living and dying alone with no one to handle my legal affairs at my death. I think it is quite sad that, I mean, I'm an only child, so I don't have any brothers or sisters. There's just me, and I don't live with my parents. And yeah, I do think it's hard because when I'm much, 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 much older, and you know, if my memory goes, I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to have no one else to prompt me. I'm going to be having to write notes to myself. Like my most famous book, writing notes to myself, my future self, of where everything is in my life and what I'm doing, because I might not be coherent by then to like do it or know it, if you know what I mean. What's your deepest fear, concern, or worry about being asexual? Andy, that I'm not my specific brand of asexual at all. And I'm actually just incapable of creating strong connections with other people. That there is something profoundly wrong with me that can never be adjusted enough to be an independent, essentially good, useful member of society. Sometimes it's hard to get out of that headspace and remind myself that none of those worries matter when I'm happy as I am. Yeah, it can be very difficult when, you know, when people kind of want you to live their life, you know, like I do give advice obviously on this channel. I do give my input and my opinion, but it's that, you know, you don't have to take it. I don't know why my own, my God, I have no idea. I have no idea why this is playing. Like, what's happening? Oh my God. I have no idea why I'm playing myself to myself. Oh, right, that's okay. Sorry about that. I had, tabs open, and one of them was on a video I recorded on StreamYard, and all of a sudden I'm talking over myself. That's so funny. But yes, if you haven't gone over to Asexualise dating channel yet, please do, because I do give a lot of advice on there, and I've done a whole, video on how to use Badoo dating. That was really spooky. I'm like, "Why am I talking over myself?" I couldn't find, I thought I haven't got another YouTube video open, but then I realized that I got my recording. I got, StreamYard recording software open, but I don't know how it started. I must have knocked something by accident. That was so funny. But yes, so I was trying to say before I was interrupted by myself to do with Badu. Don't forget to go to Asexualise Dating. So it's youtube.com/at Asexualise Dating, basically. So yes. And check out that video that I'm talking about over myself. That was so funny. What's going on? But anyway, when we're talking about fears, concerns, or worries about being asexual, is that I actually end up playing for a video from my other channel by accident over myself. That's a fear and worry and concern I never had before, but I should have done because it just happened. That's so funny. It's like, what's going on? I'm a ghost of myself, and that freaks me out more. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. Yeah, so eh, it's hard if you think there's something wrong with you, but there isn't, because when they say I'm not my specific brand of asexual at all, I do find it difficult because I love being asexual, but I don't fit into an exactly tight fitting asexual box. And so what I mean by this is I've got zero sexual attraction, so I'm a pure asexual in that way, but I have the grey area of kissing and dancing, which is sexual in behaviour. I'm a hyper romantic and a hyper kisser, which is very rare throughout the whole entire world, let alone in asexuals. It's not the sort of traits that you would usually get in asexuals. A lot of asexuals just like a little bit of kissing or little pecks, not kissing for hours like I do. So it's quite hard. And you have to be happy with yourself. It's no good. Like I said, I offer a lot of advice on this channel, and up I popped on the other channel. I offer a lot of advice on the other channel as well, Asexualise Dating, and it's just my opinion. You can take it or you can leave it. You always need to do what's right by you. It's no good doing something that I say if it's not gonna suit you and you're gonna hate yourself or not like what you're doing. It's same as I can't be someone I'm not. Like, there's so many people that keep talking about me being a coach, and I do offer coaching services for asexuals, in case you didn't realize that. But that's not what I want to do as my main thing, or at least not right now, because that's not my passion right now. My passion is writing books that change lives from pain to gain, as well as YouTubing. And I like training as well and teaching and stuff like that. So coaching is not my main thing. I don't want to currently make that my main thing. I'm not saying I would never do that, because I might, you know, open a very amazing coaching program in the future. But I like advising and I like training people and I love speaking about asexuality. So writing is my number one passion for closely by asexuality. So writing, if I don't do that, it's like dying in my soul. So I really need to do that. So it's no good me like spending hours trying to get clients for coaching and that being my main focus when that's not what I want to do. I offer coaching services in addition to my writing rather than the other way around. Whereas most people are a coach and then they offer some book that you can buy of theirs in addition to coaching. I'm the opposite. It's like I do writing and coaching is addition to it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think it all depends where you're coming from, and some people just are very different. I'm a person who is very communicative and I like a lot of talking. I like a lot of chat. I like the art of talking. I like a lot of communication in relationship or friendships even. And some other people, they prefer not to talk as much. They're more introvert. They like to keep themselves to themselves more. And so people are just different. Like if I give advice about what I think's right, it might not be right for that person if they've got a different personality type to me, for example. And that's the same that goes for everyone and everything. There's so many channels out there that give you advice about all different stuff. Some people will give you conflicting advice about the same thing, but you just got to go with your heart and what feels right to you. It's no good living someone else's life, even if they're trying to tell you it's a better way of being, because if it doesn't make you happy and you're not comfortable with it, you're not going to want to do it. And it's going to be resisting resistance, I should say, against yourself, pushing against what you think you should be because of society dictates that and pushing against what you actually want to be. So always when you're in your asexual journey, just think, what do I want? What do you want? In other words, what do you want? What makes you feel good? What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with dating, relationships, and go for that, because we're all different. I believe I'm made up of lots of different parts of asexuality so that I can help so many different people across the asexual spectrum. So I think I'm blessed in that way. But anyway, what is your deepest fear, concern, or worry about being asexual? Did you want to share it in the comments below? I'd love to know what you think. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to watch more videos and be the first to be updated about them. Don't forget to subscribe, like I said, but get a copy of Asexual Perspectives. Really good book. This is on offer in the Kindle edition at the moment, only till the 31st of July. So go and get your copy for Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month. It's an amazing book, and you'll learn so much about asexuality and the asexual spectrum. And yeah, don't forget to thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video live stream. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.